So we're talking about two TEA categories. And the TEA qualification is what allows investors to invest at the $800,000 level, as opposed to the $1.05 million. Rural category has the highest number of these special visas that are set aside. There's 32% of the total annual limit of EB5 visas that are set aside or reserved for rural, high unemployment, and infrastructure. Rural has the highest share of the 32%. It has 20%. High unemployment has the second largest share at 10%, and infrastructure has the smallest share at 2%. Now, these categories are defined differently, and Cassie's question is, how does our project qualify for both rural and high unemployment? It's unusual. The rural qualification is a population test. We want to drive EB5 investment into low population density areas because typically these areas tend to need more development. High unemployment area TEA is different. It is not defined by low population density. It's defined by high unemployment. So if there's an area that has people with unemployment who are looking for jobs, then we want to drive EB5 investment to those areas as well. So as I mentioned, the rural area qualification turns on low population, and the threshold is 20,000. The area has to have a population of under 20,000. The high unemployment area definition turns on the unemployment rate nationally. What is the unemployment rate? And the area has to have 150% of the national unemployment rate. Now, this project qualifies for both. We verified that this project qualifies for both categories by asking for a second opinion. And we obtained a second opinion from another economist who also verified that the project qualifies for both rural and HUA, or high unemployment. Having the dual qualification is a huge advantage. Why? Because it allows the investor to go in both set-asides. So essentially, you're going in a pool combined that has 30%. rather than just a pool that has 20% or 10%. To your question, Cassie, practically speaking, mechanically, how does this work? It works by the investor choosing on the I-526E form, both. And the form says, check as many as applicable. So if your project qualifies for one, you tick one, whichever one it is. If it qualifies for dual, you check two. So the form and the rules allow for dual qualification, and the investor chooses. Why would an investor find this feature so attractive? It's because at this point in the RIA stage, we know so much. We have a lot of numbers. We have a lot of data, which is fantastic. But there is a lot that's very important that we don't know, that we can't know, because it's in the future. So how many investors are investing today and tomorrow and next week? And all of that is going to factor into which line fills up first. How many are in that line? So the ability to have the ability to go, okay, so it's now 1 year from now, and it is turning out that unexpectedly, high unemployment area is got a shorter line. Now that's unexpected, but we can't tell what the future is. So the power of this dual qualification is allowing the investor the ability to, at a future point in time, choose a category that is more favorable, because the dual qualification allows the investor to manage the risk of which category will backlog first. Because if rural backlogs first or high employment area backlogs first. The dual qualification allows them to continue to concurrently file adjustment of status. What factors come into the decision of which? It's going to be all about visa availability. Okay. It's about which pathway will allow the investor to reach conditional permanent residency first to start that 2-year clock. Let's say during the process, one category is unavailable. Visa is unavailable because there's a retrogression now. Well, you're still in the other line, so you get to keep going. So I think the decision is going to be driven by visa availability. If one line closes, that's what determines which line you go into. It'll be the other line, the line that's still open. Well, you'll be making a decision first with the 526E petition. And there we're picking both. Okay, no problem. At the time of approval, USCIS approves the case. And at the time of approval, USCIS will acknowledge, will say, yes, you are approved for multiple categories. In fact, you'll be approved for 3. It'll be rural, high unemployment, and unreserved. Now, with USCIS, you don't have to do anything more. If you're adjusting status, if you're concurrently filing adjustment of status. And our observation is that rural, of course, is getting more favorable treatment in terms of processing times. So I believe that what will happen is that based on the dual qualification for concurrent filers, USCIS will go whichever way has visa availability. If rural is available, you'll be in the rural track. If rural closes and HUA remains open, USCIS will put you on the high unemployment area track. For NVC processing, we have to choose at the start. If you're consular processing, there is acknowledgement that you qualify for multiple classifications, but we have to choose one. And so at that point in time, if you're consular processing, we would choose which lane is open, because if the other lane is closed, then the case can't progress. So everything, all the decision making is going to be driven by visa availability. This is a tough one. It really, really is, because the numbers show, of course, that there's more demand in rural. Just in the last 2 years, we have about a demand of 5,800, which is a lot. In high unemployment, we have lower demand. So in the last 2 years, the demand, including family members, is estimated at around 3,800. These are my estimates from the last 2 years. So high unemployment is lower, but there were more in the beginning after the RIA was enacted. So in early 2023, there was higher high unemployment than rural. So it's ahead in the race, if you will, that way. However, we also know that, as I mentioned earlier, HUA has much slower processing time. So rural was later in the race, but they're getting to the finish line faster. But there's also more in the bucket. There's more, the lane is wider. So putting all of this together, Cassie, I find it impossible to know which is going to backlog first, which again speaks to the power of this dual qualification in this environment.
快来关注侨外出国吧。